Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Friday night. A little bit late start for me. It's 9:22 Eastern Time on the 27th of January. I'm thinking about my birthday, which is the 27th of January. So actually today is my half birthday, 27th of July, 2018. Joe Rayo will be joining me shortly. Sorry for the late start because we're trying to kind of juggle a lot of different things between doing Facebook Lives and TV and all the rest of it. But glad you're all here. I just want to start off with a disclaimer right off the bat. If you are watching this on a replay later on tonight, please remember that the radars that you are seeing are dated, and if there's severe weather still going on in your particular area, please check your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov. This way you got the latest weather information. I want to start off with what's happened tonight in and around the New York City area. We have the Doppler radar estimates here, and in an area from northeastern Middlesex County into parts of over Staten Island, which got hit particularly hard from these thunderstorms, and into parts of southern Brooklyn and southwestern Queens, a band of 6 to 8 inches of rain fell. The high amounts really were from Staten Island and on the Jersey side, not only from northeastern Middlesex, but on into parts of Hudson, Union, and even parts of Essex County. And you can see that there was, again, as usual, the wide variation that you get in situations like this. You had areas in between getting very little, and then you get into another big band that ran across northeastern Pennsylvania up through the Catskills and in the Hudson Valley, mainly north of Route 84, where rainfall amounts were in the range of 3.5 to as much as 5 inches. Rain was really, there were some there were strong gusty winds and a few severe thunderstorm warnings that were issued, but once we got through that initial part of it, when the main line of storms came through, it really was the rain that was a big problem. And of course, we were worried about that with respect to the areas in eastern Pennsylvania, which were dealing with some incredible amounts of rain since last Saturday, some areas getting over a foot of rain. So the thunderstorms that came through, they moved along, but they were enough to produce flash flooding in a lot of areas. So I want to, we'll start off, I guess we'll go to the radar. I'm going to be doing a lot of this on the fly tonight because of the fact that we got such a late start. And here we go. As I said, Joe Rayo will be joining us shortly. I'm going to freshen up this radar a bit. So here's the latest radar. We are well past the peak intensities of these downpours and thunderstorms. The boxes that you see represent some of the warnings that were up. Much of the flash flood warnings are done with. There's still a couple of special marine warnings. We're at 9:25 Eastern Time. One special marine warning off the south shore of Long Island, the one off the New Jersey coast is done. This area now really weakening very, very quickly. So I'm thinking that there probably won't be any additional warnings from the standpoint of flash flooding. Some areas that are saturated may have just plain old flood warnings as river levels and stream levels continue to rise. But in the next 2 or 3 hours, much of this is all going to go away, and we should start to see improving weather conditions. So Joe Rayo is just coming in now. He's going to join us in just a second here on this YouTube special edition of the Joe and Joe Show. You almost ready?
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting down in about 15 seconds.
Okay.
We went through innumerable technical difficulties when we were trying to...
Yeah, I heard everybody laughing out of control next door.
Yeah.
These walls are not as thick as you might think.
I told... it was like we had to redo our weather like 4 different times. I said to our director, Alex Cohen, I said, you know what? After this is all done, I'm going to get on the phone and call Stalin
Oh, yes.
And Ashley. And bring them back.
And bring them back. All right, get a little closer so everybody can see you full view.
All right.
It looks, Joe, you know, just had everybody look. We were looking at the radar shot, the latest radar. Whoops, wrong map. Let me find. Where did I hit it somewhere? Oh boy. There we go.
Technical difficulties
Well,
here.
you know, I got stuff. You know, I got all these Brady Bunch boxes hidden all over the place. So here's the latest radar. It looks like now that the area of this whole area of rain and thunderstorms weakening rather steadily. Certainly, well past the peak of what we saw a couple of hours ago.
And as I just noted on our FiOS 1 Lower Hudson Valley forecast, in the after midnight hours, what you're seeing on your screen right now either will have been completely dissipated, or if there's anything left, it's going to very quickly fade out in the hours after midnight. So I don't think we'll have to worry anymore about. Now, we're doing this right now at almost 9:30 in the evening. The severe thunderstorm watch, if it's still in effect, is going to expire. And
I think for the most part, they've been pretty well. Let me just update this. Yeah, I mean, they're done now. The watches are done. All the warnings are done.
Okay.
So that's good news. So, you know, let's take everybody forward here. I did already show everyone the rain amounts. There were some 6 to 8 inch rain amounts over parts of northeastern New Jersey. But now everyone's kind of focused on the weekend. And it looks to me like we're going to see this kind of gradual, the GFS. You know, I think the one big question for tomorrow is whether there might be a couple of pop-up showers. I decided at the last minute to throw them in there because the models seem to be flaring them up a bit around midday.
Yeah, you know, the last couple of days that's been the I don't want to say disagreement between the two of us, but we've been debating as to whether or not Saturday would have some of these pop-up showers. Maybe not even necessarily a thunderstorm, but I mean,
but just a spot shower here and there.
Right, and the front.
The NAM's got them for tomorrow afternoon.
The front is the cold front that is served as the catalyst for tonight's or the earlier part of the day when we had showers and storms. That front is only going to be barely east of our area tomorrow, and the late great Tex Antoine, which some of you may remember, who was on
those that
television,
were in the New York area,
in the New York area in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Tex was not a meteorologist, but over the years he learned a lot about weather and weather forecasting. And there would be times when we had a cold front move through the tri-state area, and he would use the National Weather Service forecast. Again, he was not a forecaster, he was not a meteorologist. And the forecast would be for, you know, partly cloudy or sunny to partly cloudy. And with the front passing on by, Tex would always say, a front is a front. Even though the parameters seemed to be like the front would come through with no precipitation, if there was a cold front or any kind of a frontal line, Tex would always say, well, don't be surprised.
Yeah, you can see it here on the tomorrow afternoon about 2 o'clock. There's some kind of either a dry, maybe it's a dry line or
could
a
be a
weak
dry
front.
line or something like that. But if this weekend, again, if you're thinking about the weekend overall, if you have something to do out of doors, I would do it on Sunday, because Saturday there's that possibility of a couple of pop-up showers here and there. And also Saturday, I think, Joe, you'll agree, is going to be decidedly muggier still.
Yeah, it'll be better than what we've had, but it'll still be moderately humid. I think Sunday looks good. Looks like, at least from the standpoint of rain in areas across parts of Western Virginia, West Virginia, that have been in the Blue Ridge Mountains, that have been getting, you know, almost continuous rains, it seems, for the last 2.5 months. You know, they do catch a break here like they did with those dry air masses in July. But as we go into next week, I think Monday's going to be okay. But the humidity, I think, is going to start to come up a bit. And then certainly, you know, we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to start to see the humidity come up. The only thing, Joe, this time around, the upper trough, I just want to bring up the upper air. This time around, that upper trough is much further to the west. Instead of being in the Appalachians, if everybody's seeing from home, you can see where the trough dips and bottoms out. You draw a line from Illinois straight south to about New Orleans. That's the axis of the trough. The one we just went through, and I'll go back 72 hours as it was starting to weaken, was axis. The axis here goes Detroit down to Atlanta to western Florida to Tampa. Okay, the axis this time around is going to evolve about 10 degrees further west, about 600 miles further west. So I think that in this instance, this is going to be where you'll probably see the more continuous rains, more in the Ohio Valley, more back over toward the Tennessee Valley to the Mississippi River, rather than east of the Appalachians, where there'll probably be a tendency for it to be very warm and humid with maybe pop-up showers and thunderstorms If not Tuesday, certainly Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because that trough basically just stays there and weakens.
Right, and we're going to be in kind of a warm sector. We'll probably be seeing, unlike this week, where the winds were more south or south-southwest, there's going to be more of a southwesterly or west-southwesterly flow,
right, and
I think, in our area this upcoming week. So that's going to be...
you can see it right there.
Yeah, so it's going to be more of a case of, as you just mentioned, those pop-up showers, nothing really continuous. And if we do hear of any of those really tremendous areas of rain, as we saw this week in eastern Pennsylvania, around Hershey, for example, 10, 12, 14 inches of rain, ridiculous numbers. If that were to happen again next week, it would not be in eastern Pennsylvania because, as you just mentioned, the trough being several hundred miles further west, so it would be more like somewhere in the Ohio Valley. So maybe next week we'll be hearing places in Ohio or Kentucky receiving a hefty amount of rainfall.
Going in the longer term, the trough still wants to be in the east. The Atlantic Ridge, I'm just going to run this backwards and then forward. That Atlantic Ridge tries to build back westward, but at least from today's late model runs, there's energy in the northern stream that comes along from time to time. I think there's still some question as to whether it might get hot for a few days. Certainly will be humid, but again, with that trough, the model's trying to keep making that trough in the east is something. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We're going to, if the tropics start to get active, that is something that we need to pay attention to, because that does open an area of risk for the East Coast. Right. By the way, just going back to what you said with the rainfall, this is the Weather Prediction Center's rainfall views for the next 7 days, and now again, some of this is front end loaded. Because the trough in the west doesn't set up until Tuesday, but you can start to see the blossoming area of heavier rains further to the west, and also some ample rains in the southeast over the next 10 days or so, on the order of those reds are like 2, 3, 4 inches, but you're not seeing the 5 to 7, 8 inch amounts like we saw when we were going into what we got right. this week. So, right. And for our area here in the Northeast, a bit tame. Most of the rainfall amounts spread out over the next 7 days tend to be under 2 inches, so that kind of tells you it's probably convectively driven. So some areas will have more, some areas will have less.
Yeah, in fact, if you remember when we showed this map a week ago, it looked like somebody had taken one of those wide rollers, so to speak, dipped it into a deep shade of red, and just literally went up and down along the entire eastern seaboard. At least here, yeah, we still have red in portions of the southeast and mid-Atlantic, but now parts of the northeast are more in the blue, which indicates, again, probably 2 inches or less. But last week we were talking about, places here in the eastern part of the country maybe seeing 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. And as it turned out, we underdid that.
Yes.
When you talk about what happened in southeast Pennsylvania.
This is going to be a relatively short live stream, folks, because Joe and I both have things to do. Iron Mind 10, one of my regulars, nice to see you here, wants to know if you know anything with regards to the Weather Radio New York City transmitter is going back in service, because he says his new weather radio is useless. I think they've been waiting for like a part for the longest time.
I'm not sure what the story is with that, and maybe the next time if we ever bring your friend on, Bill Goodman.
I'll message Bill Goodman, Iron Mind. I'll try and get an answer from him overnight, so that when I do a live stream over the weekend, we'll get an answer. I'll have an answer for you.
I think the original problem was that the signals from KW035 were crisscrossing with the Coast Guard frequency, and
right.
And they were trying to separate the two, or trying to keep one from interfering with the other. And then there was something about a part. But when you think about it, really, I mean, we're in the largest metropolitan area in the United States, for goodness sake, and to be so long without a NOAA weather radio signal, that's not good. You gotta wonder what's
Master
going on.
Chief, nice to see you here. It has been quite a while. Glad you're on here. Lord Kate had penny-sized hail for 30 seconds in Nassau County when that cell went by just a little while ago, in fact. And I'm just... Robert Hurley says he can't agree on 6 to 8 inches of rain. Storms moving east from Brooklyn and Queens are dying out. No, I wasn't forecast. That wasn't a forecast, Robert Hurley. Those were those were Doppler rain amounts for those areas in New Jersey to Staten Island, and they did get hammered. I know I've seen a handful of reports from some of my some of my regulars on Facebook posting amounts that they measured of over 5 inches of rain. So those were actual rainfall amounts, not forecast amounts. And the area is dying out as it moves eastward. We could see those radar trends very, very rapidly. And in no way was I trying to say that those 6 and 8 inch rain amounts were going to be moving eastward to Long Island. Not at all. So I just want to make that clear. Let's see. Just trying to make sure we get everybody. Okay, and Jason Schaefer just mentioned about the fact whether he's any news about whether they're going to open Hershey Park or not. I haven't heard or seen anything regarding that. I don't know if you have.
I have not, but when you get 10 or 12 or 14 inches of rain in just a couple of days' time, it may be a while before they can drain all that water out.
Yeah, no worries, Robert Hurley. I just want to, sometimes since we're not talking directly side by side, and when you type stuff up, I just want just want to at least get some make that clarification. Okay, we both have to cut this short tonight. Usually the YouTube live streams, when I do them, Joe, they go 30 minutes or more, but we both got stuff to do. Aaron Raybear, really quick, the tropics. We still have issues with the Saharan dust. We still have issues with upper lows. There are a couple of tropical waves that are going to be moving out next week, but because of the fact that you've got all this going on, they may just wind up being swirls of low clouds. They're going to have a real tough time forming any kind of meaningful convection, at least from what we see at this point. So we may have to wait a little while longer with regards to seeing any tropical systems gaining some traction on the Atlantic side, and they're even having trouble on the Pacific side right now. So whatever it is that's going on, things seem to be rather quiet on both ends. We got a depression and a tropical storm out on the Pacific side, Joe, but they're probably going to be gone before too long.
And the El Nino supposedly is still building, and that is usually a suppressor to in the Atlantic Basin. But again, it's still working its way.
Yeah, it's early. It's very early in the game, and we they still have that El Nino watch, but it hasn't gone anything beyond that.
Right.
All right, folks, we're going to call it a night at this point. Check out latest Facebook posts on meteorologist Joe Chaffee or on Joe Rayo's Facebook page, Joe Rayo Weather. If you're new to my YouTube channel, thanks for being here. Please subscribe. It's absolutely free, and you get notifications whenever we do these live streams, which at the very least is once a day. And again, if you are watching this now on a replay, it is 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time, so the radars are all dated. Please be sure to check your local National Weather Service page, wherever you happen to be in the United States, with regards to severe weather that may be going on in your area. Have a great night, a great weekend, and we will probably live stream at some point over the weekend.
Bye.